What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Jorge's House of Horrors, and on this video we will conclude our series on the Satanic Panic. Here it is. This is America. It's 2025. A generation that wasn't even born during the original panic is now watching Stranger Things and true crime documentaries that mine the 1980s satanic hysteria for entertainment. Vintage heavy metal t-shirts sell for hundreds of dollars as fashion statements. Meanwhile, new moral panics flourish on social media platforms using the same playbook that demonized Dungeons & Dragons 4 decades ago. How did one of the most damaging episodes of mass hysteria in American history transform into nostalgic content for streaming services? And more importantly, what have we actually learned from it all? Let's press play on this cultural postmortem and find out. The Satanic Panic's first resurrection came through Hollywood, which quickly recognized the dramatic potential in America's devil obsession. What began with exploitative made-for-TV movies based on a true story satanic crimes evolved into more nuanced and critical examinations. By the 2010s, the Satanic Panic had become a reliable setting for period pieces seeking to capture 1980s nostalgia. The first season of True Detective drew heavily on ritual abuse mythology. Stranger Things positioned its Dungeons & Dragons playing protagonists against both supernatural threats and suspicious adults. The chilling adventures of Sabrina reframed Satanism as a form of empowerment against Christian patriarchy. The documentary world followed suit with productions like HBO's Paradise Lost trilogy, which helped free the West Memphis 3, and Netflix's Night Stalker, which re-examined how Richard Ramirez's satanic posturing amplified his notoriety. Hollywood first profited from fear-mongering shows about satanic cults, and now they're profiting from nostalgia pieces that mock those same fears. Perhaps the most dramatic cultural reversal has been the rehabilitation of the panic's supposed tools of Satan. Dungeons & Dragons transformed from a suspected gateway to hell into celebrated cornerstone of nerd culture, featured prominently in mainstream entertainment and played by celebrities who publicly share their enthusiasm for the game. Heavy metal, once condemned from pulpits and in congressional hearings, has become respected for its technical virtuosity and emotional authenticity, their imagery now appearing on merchandise sold in mall chain stores everywhere. Even actual Satanism underwent a public relations transformation. The Satanic Temple, founded in 2013, has repositioned Satanism as a non-theistic movement focused on scientific rationality, bodily autonomy, and separation of church and state. A far cry from the baby-sacrificing cultists of 1980s imagination. The symbols that terrified parents in 1985 are now printed on H&M t-shirts. While entertainment media has largely transformed the panic into nostalgic content, those who lived through its darkest consequences continue to seek justice and recognition. Many wrongfully convicted during the panic spent decades fighting to clear their names. The San Antonio Four lesbian women convicted of ritual abuse of children in case dripping with homophobia and satanic panic elements, weren't exonerated until 2016 after serving over a decade in prison. Bernard Barron, a gay daycare worker accused of ritual abuse, died just 3 years after his exoneration, having spent 22 years wrongfully imprisoned. The McMartin preschool defendants, though eventually acquitted, never recovered their reputations or livelihoods. One defendant, Raymond Bucky, spent 5 years in jail awaiting trial before being cleared of all charges. The children involved in these cases also carry the scars. Many now recognize they were led to make false accusations through coercive questioning techniques, leaving them with manufactured traumatic memories and guilt about their unwitting role in destroying innocent lives. While mainstream culture now largely treats the Satanic Panic as an embarrassing historical curiosity, the underlying mechanisms that fueled it never disappeared. The moral entrepreneurs who once saw Satan behind every rock album have found new targets and new platforms. Starting in the late 1990s, elements of Satanic Panic rhetoric merged with conspiracy theories about government mind control and alien abduction. By the 2010s, these narratives had evolved into QAnon, a sprawling conspiracy theory that recycled many classic Satanic Panic tropes about powerful elites abusing children in occult rituals. QAnon is essentially Satanic Panic for the internet age. Both feature secret cabals of powerful people ritually abusing children, and both resist all demands for evidence, and both provide believers with a sense of purpose and moral superiority. The only real difference is that the villain changed from Satan to the deep state. Similar panic cycles have emerged around other youth activities and subcultures. From fears about rainbow parties and dangerous online challenges to concerns about the occult elements in popular young adult fiction like Harry Potter, the template established during the Satanic Panic continues to shape how society responds to youth culture. Each generation seems to rediscover the same fears. The specific allegations change, but the structure stays remarkably consistent. Moral decay is always just around the corner. Children are always in danger from some new corrupting influence, and the solution is always more control rather than more understanding. One positive legacy of the panic has been significant reform in how allegations of child abuse are investigated and prosecuted. The disastrous cases of the 1980s led to new protocols for interviewing child witnesses, greater scrutiny of recovered memory techniques, and more rigorous standards for expert testimony. Kenneth Lanning, the FBI agent whose 1992 report helped debunk many claims about the satanic ritual abuse, developed investigative standards that emphasize evidence collection over ideology. See, the key lesson, according to Lanning, is that genuine concern for children's welfare must be guided by facts and evidence, not fear or superstition. Academic researchers who studied the panic, like sociologist Jeffrey Victor and psychologist Elizabeth Loftus, developed influential theories about how false memories can be implanted and how rumors evolve into moral panics. Their work has influenced everything from police interrogation techniques to therapy practices. Media organizations, embarrassed by their role in spreading unfounded fears, develop more rigorous fact-checking protocols and greater skepticism towards sensationalistic claims, though these standards eroded in the internet age as traditional gatekeepers lost influence. America's cultural processing of the Satanic Panic continues to evolve. Early treatments tended toward simple debunking, portraying panic believers as either cynical manipulators or gullible fools. More recent examinations have taken a more nuanced approach, exploring how genuine concerns about child safety became misdirected through a perfect storm of cultural anxiety, religious fervor, media sensationalism, and institutional failure. Films like Regression of 2015 and The Witch 2015 as well explored how fear can warp perception and create the very evil it claims to fight. The documentary series, The Confession Tapes, and The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez examine how tunnel vision and moral panic can corrupt criminal investigations. Today, elements of the Satanic Panic live on in diluted form. Heavy metal bands still use satanic imagery for shock value, but do so with a knowing wink. Horror films continue to mine religious fears of demonic possession. There's a new possession film like every other month. Evangelical bookstores still sell titles warning about occult influences in popular culture, though with less mainstream impact than in the 1980s. More troublingly, the mechanisms that powered the panic, fear-based media coverage, more entrepreneurship, and conspiracy thinking have found a new life in the internet age. Social media platforms amplify rumors with unprecedented speed, while algorithmic recommendations can trap users in bubbles. We've gotten better at recognizing classic Satanic Panic claims, but we're still vulnerable to the same psychological and social forces that created. We've immunized ourselves against that specific strain of moral panic, but new variants continue to emerge, and our cultural antibodies haven't kept pace. As America grapples with new fears, from online predators to human trafficking rings to political conspiracies, the lessons of the Satanic Panic remain vitally relevant. The question isn't whether new moral panics will emerge, but whether we'll recognize them in time to prevent the same devastating consequences. The most dangerous aspect of the Satanic Panic wasn't that people believed in demons, it's that they stopped believing in evidence, critical thinking, and basic fairness. The Satanic Panic didn't end because Americans became less religious or more rational. It ended because its claims grew so outlandish and the damage it caused so evident that even its most fervent believers eventually had to acknowledge reality. The question that haunts us today is whether future moral panics will reach a similar breaking point before causing similar harm. In our current era of alternative facts and viral misinformation, the Satanic Panic stands as both a warning and a prophecy. It's a case study in how easily fear can override reason, how quickly rights can be abandoned in the name of protection, and how devastating the consequences can be when panic replaces prudence. And there you have it, the twisted legacy of America's dance with the devil. I hope you've gained not just knowledge about this bizarre chapter in our recent history, but also the critical thinking tools to recognize similar patterns emerging today. Because, make no mistake, the mechanisms that turned Dungeons and Dragons into a moral threat for 40 years ago are still operating, still seeking new targets, and still threatening to turn neighbors against each other in the name of protection. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Jorge from Jorge's House of Horrors. And if this series helped you better understand how moral panics operate, smash that like button and hit subscribe. Ring that notification bell so you don't miss our technological horror journey through this YouTube machine. I'm just getting started here. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Were you affected by the Satanic Panic? Did you see similar patterns in today's viral fears? Or have you spotted a new moral panic brewing that others haven't recognized yet? This is Jorge, reminding you that the most dangerous monsters aren't found in the horror movies or heavy metal albums. They're found in our willingness to believe the worst about each other without evidence. Thank you.